With grace, baby, I can't afford to cover the course. Of course, maybe settle that one in court. Cause judging by the basis, you're already comfortable, stuck up in the matrix. Shit is basic. Pass the one. Favorite rapper, people I go detention. I'm out of shame. Been past it, trying to fit a struggle cause I don't know how to act shit. How will y'all steady until don't try to backflip just because the seasoning and flow's already active. Only 4 years, fantastic. Young veteran, you classic. Nah, knock the walls off. Fuck the whole keep it going, hinge the whole door off. I'm still AD, never forget it. It's life after death, all the credits.
Greetings, everyone. This is Terry Riggs, Mr. Riggs, and this is Black Eyes TV once again. Now giving you that info. We're going to let the women take charge today. So I'm going to be in the back burner behind the scenes, making sure that everything works out. But we have a special guest today, and I want to let one of our leaders in the International Sister Circles take charge, as her name is Jaisha, and introduce the special guest. So take it away.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Terry. What an introduction. Thank you guys once again for coming in to tune in on Black Eyes TV, International Sister Circle. We've got the lovely Sarjos here today to speak with us and impart some knowledge with us. And as the ladies who are part of ISC, we're just going to have fun and really interact with the people that are here. So we've also got Gemma from our ISC group as well. So yeah, we did have Toya as well, as well. So hopefully she'll come back. But Sarjo, go ahead and introduce yourself to the beautiful people.
Oh, give me a second. My thing just dropped out the cradle. I was just trying to move this because I could see there's a light in the back that's a little bit distracting. So give me a little second to just put it back on the cradle. Good afternoon, and for some of you, maybe good morning, depending on where it is that you're tuning in from. Thank you for having me. My name is Sarjo. I'm an advocate, a big advocate for women's intimate care from a holistic point of view. So looking at it from a natural point of view. Just to give you a little bit of a story, a bit of a background about myself and my journey. I created my platform in about 2000, I'd say late 2014, going into 2015. I had recently just moved back home to Gambia, and as far as I was concerned, I was going to be there indefinitely. In 2009, I got diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome at the age of 30, after experiencing so much trauma and issues around my period, and these big fluctuations in weight, and not only that, the hormone imbalances that was causing me to feel very depressed, suffering from anxiety, even to the point of there was times when I was completely suicidal. I didn't know what was going on with me, but I knew something was wrong. From I was a teen, I would have these really long periods, and sometimes I would go for months on end without seeing a cycle. And I remember going to see my doctor, my GP at the time, who was really fantastic. And I said to him, I explained to him what was going on, and he just said to me, look, you're too young for me to put you on any kind of hormonal treatment. Let's just see how you level out. But I just knew there was something wrong. And I was living in Miami from 2008 to early 2009. And during that time, I remember my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, had transitioned, and I went through a lot. But just living out of London, not being away from London and living in America, the diet there was so completely different, and it affected my body in a negative way. I put on so much weight, I was really depressed, and it just exacerbated my symptoms of my polycystic ovary syndrome. And at the time, I was living out there with my partner, and we were trying to conceive, and I couldn't conceive, and we couldn't understand why, because he already had a child. So on my return back to London, I headed straight to the GP just to find out, what is going on. Lucky enough, I was able to see a female GP who just said to me, look, you need to go and get a scan to see what's going on with you. When I did that, that's when I discovered that I had the polycystic ovary syndrome at 30. And from that moment, my mum was very instrumental in really being very supportive of my journey. Between myself, her, and a big group of us, we went on a 90-day detox. We did Darren Bepo's Health Restore, and I became a raw vegan. I went through that whole cleansing period, and I learned so much about myself, about food, about how to heal oneself. And that really was the springboard and the stepping point for me to really kind of focus on, my health. And I remember we kind of very briefly touched on, intimate health, hormone balancing for women. But I was so curious because I thought, well, you know what, now that I've learned all this information, that I don't want to go back to, my old habits. I don't want to start using toxic ingredients on my body. I want to use something that is more holistic and in line with what I've learned, so I kind of became very curious in that sense, I remember I stopped using regular sanitary towels. I was using more natural care. And then that's when I discovered about the moon cup. So I was kind of on my journey, on my way there, but still didn't know enough to kind of springboard into what I do now. I think it was from the point where I decided to go home to Gambia. That was what was the real stepping stone, because I felt like being home, being on African soil, being surrounded by family, being surrounded by ancestors, just the energy was different. And it allowed me the space to really think about what it was that I wanted to do. And upon my return from Gambia, that's when I said, right, this is what I really want to do. I want to focus on women's intimate health, because if I'm curious about these things, I'm sure there's other women of like minds who are curious too. And I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know where I was going to buy products from or who I was going to buy products from. And my background is beauty therapy. And I've always been a person that's been able to create stuff and been curious in that way. So I thought, well, there's no one that I can think of here in the UK that can help me with what I want. Everything that I can see is based in America. But we should have something here in London. So I decided to just create for myself. And with me creating for myself and sharing with, close friends and family, that's how I was able to expand everything that I was doing, just based off of curiosity and, just being experimental and trying new things. And that's how I kind of ended up where I am here today,
That's perfect. Question: when you first started out and you started to share this with other people, did you realize back then that there was so many people who were going through it, who maybe didn't know what it was or didn't even know that that was a thing in the first place?
When you say, are you talking about my condition or
Yeah,
just
polycystic ovaries and just
right. I heard about polycystic ovary syndrome when I was studying as a beauty therapist. My boss at the time, she was the principal of the college. I actually worked in the college where I qualified, and she was very well renowned within the beauty industry. She was an examiner, and we would see different, like, the students who would come. And I remember one student in particular. I remember when Mrs. Wackett said that this lady has got polycystic ovary syndrome. You can tell from the way in which the hair grows on her face, even that how her hair, she kind of had a little bit of male pattern balding, but it wasn't drastic. But it was all these little things. So I remember hearing back. That was like in 2005, but still the penny didn't drop. It did I didn't associate it with myself because I didn't know what was wrong, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got the diagnosis and then I started to read up about it, it all started to make a lot of sense. Why my weight would fluctuate, my moods would fluctuate, and all these issues that I was having with my period, it all started to, you know, the light bulb went off, so to speak. You know, the light bulb went off. And I have to say that I'm very blessed in the way that I got the support from my mum immediately, because I know there's a lot of women, if you don't have polycystic ovary syndrome, it's very hard to explain to us, another woman, what you actually go through internally and mentally. Is very debilitating, and you can't express that to anybody who doesn't understand. My mum was never a person who had issues with her cycle. So when I was younger and I was having, you know, terrible cramps and sometimes waking up in the middle of the night crying and then, you know, taking how many different Nurophens to help me, she didn't understand it because she never went through, she never experienced that, you know. So it was almost like I was suffering in silence, you know, not knowing what was wrong. So the moment I was able to get a diagnosis, it was devastating, because the first thing, you know, being dramatic, the first thing I heard was that, oh, it can make you infertile. And that just broke me down. You know, that was the point where I was like, oh my God, you know. But, you know, with anything, you know, polycystic ovary syndrome is not an easy one. It's a very sticky one. I mean, if you are strict with yourself, you can actually cure it. But if you kind of fluctuate, if you veer off it, it's a tricky one.
So where are you now in your journey from that? Are you fully healed from it? Is it still an ongoing thing?
It's an ongoing thing. It really is. It just depends on, and you know, I'm human at the end of the day. You know, I go through, you know, just everything that everybody else goes through, and again, affected by hormones. So even though I'm aware of it and I do my best to kind of, you know, stay as healthy as possible, I'm not perfect. You know, and I feel that I feel like I've managed my condition much better now, because I don't go through so many bouts of depression and so on. And I kind of know, okay, you're going too far, Sarjo, pull back a little bit, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I went from having 11-day periods down to 8. Then when I did Health Restore, I got myself down to 5. Now I can get my period to about 4.5 days. So there's always room. Yeah, there's always room for improvement. And, you know, where I would be in debilitating pain and the symptoms were just awful. I remember like a week before I would have the worst PMS ever. And I hated it because I would get these really dark thoughts in my mind, and I could never explain to anybody what I was going through. It was literally purgatory. You know, but now I can say, thank God, I don't go through that anymore.
I love that you come on to speak to us, because I suffer with polycystic ovaries as well, and I never found out until I was pregnant with my 3rd child. Even though when I had my first child, I had cysts that had ruptured and burst, and I was taken into an operating room like straight away, being 3-4 weeks pregnant at the time. And even having my first child, having my second child, it was only until I had my 3rd child, and they kept saying, every time you have a pregnancy, we can see loads of eggs on your cysts. Do you have problems with your periods? And I was like, yeah, I've been having problems. The same thing you said, like having hairs on my chin and on my throat, all of that. And it wasn't until then I was like, okay, that makes sense. But even then, I feel like I never took it seriously. And still now, I don't take it as serious, because I'm still able to have children, because they kept asking me, well, how are you able to still get pregnant as easy as you do and you have this issue? And I was like, I don't know, you tell me, like, you guys are doctors. But I really love that you've come on, because there's so many women out there, likewise myself, that has this issue, and we probably don't take it as serious as it should be, because probably a lot that's going on within my body that I haven't addressed yet, that have just stemmed from that one problem. So
and you know, every woman is different. You know, we don't all experience the same symptoms. You know, for me, mine has definitely been reflected in my weight fluctuation. Even with my hair, I'm not as hairy. I've got a little bit of hair, and I've had mine treated with laser, and it's really helped a lot. But I'm not like overly hairy. But I can see like the little, you know, if I show somebody, they'll be like, okay, yeah, I can see it. But thank God, I'm so grateful, because I know there's some women who really suffer and they end up with a full beard, you know, and it can make you really insecure, you know. Women who have hairs around their breasts, around their nipples. I work, you know, my full-time job, I work as a wax therapist, so I see all these things all the time, you know, and I definitely have seen that once I'm good with my diet, everything else falls into place. You know, I feel a lot more peace. I feel a lot more balance. I feel a lot more in control. But, you know, a lot of people don't know that a polycystic ovary syndrome is a form of diabetes. So you have insulin resistance. So I am one of those people that I have insulin resistance. So I have to be very mindful about what I'm eating. But then sometimes the freaking hormones take over and you don't even care. You know,
Can I jump in on this conversation, because I absolutely am a PCOS sufferer as well. And I'm going to try and not be too long-winded, but I'm going to be very vulnerable and very open about my experience. What I've understood about my PCOS is that I don't produce enough progesterone hormone. I don't produce enough progesterone. And so just like yourself, I remember back in, I believe it was 2008, I basically didn't see a period for the entire year. And so I started on a birth control called Aless, and Aless had me bleeding way longer than I needed to be bleeding, than I thought was normal. And so they took me off of Aless and said it's probably not working, which is a birth control pill. And then they tried me on Yasmin, a birth control pill, I believe. And because I know that these birth control pills are synthetic hormone treatments, I decided that I would stop taking the birth control pills. I have a friend of mine that is a part of the sister circle that has, you know, over the years been mentoring me. And I found that when I switched up my diet with a lot more physical activity, and when I eat less meat, my period would start to regulate. So every so often I would have a few years, like between 2008 and now, of course, depending on what I was eating, I would be able to bring my period on naturally. Now, currently, what happens is that if I go, you know, about 3 months without seeing my period, I started seeing a fertility specialist, and my doctor would prescribe me progesterone suppositories, which is supposed to be a natural progesterone as opposed to synthetic progesterone, and that I have to insert vaginally. Now, as far as, I would really, really love to connect with you after this, because what I'm finding is that the remedy, doing it naturally, for me, it is so overwhelming, because there are so many things that you have to do and have to change, and managing that along with just having the normal Western 9-to-5 life, being a student, me barely being home or barely having time to cook and things like that. I get so overwhelmed because there are so many steps that we have to take, and I just feel defeated. I definitely get hair, which I've treated with laser. It's amazing. The weight fluctuations I definitely get. And I will be straight up and honest. I've never been pregnant and have definitely taken the actions to be pregnant. And I've never been in my life. So I am, you know, I'll be 32 next Friday, and I am absolutely broken. I cannot talk about pregnancy without getting a lump in my throat, because I just feel like it's impossible for me. And like, I'm starting now. Like, I get.
I can hear it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I understand about it so far. That's what the steps I've taken and where I am right now. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No, I completely empathize with you. I know the feeling. I'm 41, going to be 42 in July. So I know the feeling. I know exactly what you feel, how you feel. And it's a very touchy subject, especially when people speak about children, because I have a younger brother who has 2 children. And being the fact that I'm the eldest, people are like, oh, Sarjo, what's going on?
Right.
People are very insensitive. They don't know what you're going through. They don't know what you're carrying. And it's very difficult to share with people who don't understand what you go through. It's hard.
Yeah.
So I completely 1000% understand where you're coming from, you know, and you're right. When you go, unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, but I say also fortunately, when you go the holistic route, it is you have to be very organized. So I do completely understand. You can't even look at it like, you know, this is something that you do for an interim. It's a whole lifestyle change.
Right.
You have to change everything. You can't even take anything for granted. You know, you have to change everything, and it becomes a way of life for you, you know. And that's the best advice that I can really give. I remember at 21, being, you know, I had a long-term boyfriend, and I went and got the pill. The first pill that I took, and I remember I went to New York with my mum for 2 weeks. The first pill I took, I bled for like 3 weeks, and it wasn't even like blood. It was like this dark brown substance. I don't even know how to explain it. Very thick, you know. And I was like, oh hell no, this is not it, you know. So as soon as I came back to London, I went back to the doctors and I was like, yeah, this is not the one. And so you know how they do, they use you as a guinea pig.
Absolutely.
They were like, okay, try this one, right? And that's what the thing is. They play Russian roulette with your womb, and they tell you to do all these things, but they're things that they wouldn't necessarily do. And
for
they
sure.
know that, excuse my French, they know it's fucking up your system, but allopathic medicine makes money, so they don't really care. You know, you have to take the control for yourself. So I went back and they put me on another type of a birth control. 2 days. I blew up like a whole Thanksgiving turkey, and I was like, no. We're not doing this. I felt crazy. And, you know, I realized from that moment on, okay, my system is extremely sensitive. I am not taking the risk of taking these people's foreign medicine for it to mash me up, you know? I'm not doing that anymore. And I just decided, nope, I'm not doing it. And I'm so glad that I just had that determination and that stubbornness to just not. Because if you follow these doctors, they will have you taking all types of things, and they don't realize how that affects you mentally and spiritually, and you're feeling mad, but they don't care. They're just going to keep telling you to take the drugs, you know? So you have to kind of be strong within yourself, and it is really hard. You know, it's one thing to tell a person that, but you have to kind of be steely in your decision and say, okay, you know what? This holistic path is long-winded, but guess what? It's not going to cause me any harm. It just means that it's teaching me to be patient with myself.
Right.
Be patient and be organized. And remember, your body listens to, and it resonates with whatever it is that you tell it. Do you understand what I mean? And what I've found has been very beneficial to me is to stay positive. It sounds really corny and it sounds so cliched, but your body responds to every message, everything that you think and everything that you feel. Your body responds in kind. So if you tell yourself that it's overwhelming and it's hard, it's going to be exactly that. That's the best advice that I can really say to you. You've got to kind of change your mindset and how you see things. Yes, it's laborious. Yes, it's hard. You've got a full-time job, but that means that you just have to be that much more diligent and that much more organized.
Right.
You know, everything needs to be done in a way that you have it at your disposal, that it's just a way of life. You don't even think about it. These are things that you just do on a regular basis. And the thing is, unfortunately, when you have polycystic ovary syndrome, you can't even really afford to kind of like have an off day.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
I've known this for coming on for 12 years now, and I still haven't got it 100% right. And that's just being real. That's just being real. You know, life can hit you hard, and sometimes you can't always function on that vibration. I know I can always be doing so much better, and even just speaking to you guys is making me think, well, you know something, I could be doing so much better.
I have two follow-up questions for that. So number one is that with the insulin resistance, I do understand that, because I had been told that by my fertility doctor. Now, when, you know, they ask me about family planning and they recommend me taking this drug called metformin, which is usually something that they prescribe to diabetics. Metformin based on what I understand, should help to regulate my period and help to, and assist with the insulin resistance. I don't know if you've ever tried that. And I'm not recommending it, but I just wanted to know of your experience with it if you had. And then secondly, with the PCOS conversation and a partner, you know, getting into a potential relationship with someone and knowing that this issue and this challenge is there. So have you ever had the experience of having that conversation with a significant other? When do you think is a good time to bring it up? How do you go about it? Because I know for me, obviously, with a partner, you know, if potentially for whatever reason I may not be able to conceive, I want to know that that person is going to be willing to go through options with me. You know what I mean? And so when and how do you think that should be introduced into a relationship conversation?
Okay, so first thing that I'm anti-allopathic drugs, period. I don't take them. I'm not running that risk with them, because like I said, they use your womb, they violate your womb, they use your womb like it's a graveyard. They will just pump you with loads of stuff, and they don't realize that you're like up here and you're dying inside, but they don't care. So I don't take allopathic medicine.
Okay.
Not at all. You know, I just don't. Yeah, I don't trust them. I don't trust it. I'm not taking it. I've got enough challenges as it is already. I don't need to add anything extra on top of it. You know.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, they people who deal with allopathic medicine, Western medicine, are very good. They're not even that good actually at diagnosis, because sometimes they don't even know what's wrong. Right? If it's if I got into a car accident and I broke my arm, I will go to them for them to fix it. But if something happened and they're telling me, oh, you've got diabetes, take this medication, I'll tell them, you can take that. I'm not taking it. Right? When it comes to things like diabetes, you can manage that through your diet. You know, if you've got insulin resistance, that means that your starches, your breads, your whites, anything white, starchy, no. Sugar, no. You know, even the meat that you're eating, if you are consuming meat, you can only consume a very little amount, and if you are having it, it would have to be grass-fed. You know, really the best thing for you, the best advocate for you would be a vegan or plant-based diet.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And probably fish would be a lot better option, but you want to eat the best quality food that you could possibly eat. You know, within reason. I understand that eating holistically or being able to go to shop at the farmer's market is not exactly cheap, but you have to, you know, it's a lifestyle change. So you choose what you know is a priority for you. For me, I'm not a party goer. I don't take drugs or anything like that. I will invest my money and I will buy good quality food because I respect my body enough to buy quality. So you've got to. Now, the other thing when it comes to relationships and partners, I completely understand where you're coming from, because that one is like, you know, it's, you know, I find just being honest and being open about it and having that conversation from the gate is really important. Because even now to this day, I still get asked that question, like, you haven't got any children? And it's a hard one to have to answer.
Right.
Oh, we haven't lost her. I've been finding that everybody, because of this lockdown, everyone's at home, everyone's using their Wi-Fi, everyone's using their internet, everything's just moving slow. So hopefully whilst we are waiting for her to come back, Latoya, we do thank you for sharing your story with us. There we go.
She's back.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say have that conversation early. Get it get it off the gate.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that have that conversation off the bat, is because then you can understand the person that you're dealing with.
Right.
Because there's no point in not saying anything, and then a year down the line you realize, you know, you might not have the same goals. So I say get it out of the way. Have that conversation. As hard as it is better to be transparent. Because if that's your plan and you want to have children, imagine that's what you want and the man don't want that.
Right.
You've wasted how long? Because why?
Or on the flip side, the man does want it and doesn't end up staying with you because you may not be able to conceive.
Exactly. So guess what? Have the conversations from the gate, so you know where you stand, you know what you're getting yourself involved in, you know whether you say yeah or nah. Do you understand what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep, I do.
Before feelings start getting involved, and then the next thing you know, it's like it's a whole different story.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very
also,
much.
yeah, another lady to put in a keto as well. That's another thing that I wanted to say to you. There's a lady that I follow on Instagram. Her name is Black Keto Girl. She's
Black
based
Keto
in
Girl.
Texas.
Okay.
Yep, she's based in, you might even find her as the Keto Don. She is based in Texas. Now, if you follow her journey, she has polycystic ovary syndrome. She has 2 children. If you see where she started off and where she is now, she's done amazing. But you know what? She is strict and she's rigid and she sticks to it. She does not veer off what she's doing because it helps her. And that's the thing. Like the keto does help. It helps with the weight. It really does. It makes a big difference. But you have to be super organized.
Yeah.
But also with us, the thing is, I did the keto. I've done it several times. But for me, what I found really there's different versions of keto. You can have vegan keto too. The dairy is a lot. It makes your body extremely acidic.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get away, no matter how good the diet is, you cannot get away from that. It makes your body extremely acidic, the dairy, you know.
Okay.
So you have to balance it out with a lot of green smoothies. Sorry? No, I thought somebody said something. But yeah, the keto is great. But if you know how to do the keto properly, if you can kind of minimize the dairy that you're having, that is great. And even like I'd say, if you were finding it challenging to kind of completely come off flesh or meat products, I would say transition from doing meat, transition down to doing fish, and then if you can transition out of that into vegan, that's the way to do it in steps. Because trying to jump from one extreme to the other is very difficult to shock on the system, unless you've got that really kind of speedy mind where you can just do that. But it's the challenge, you know. But I'd say transition, you know, for example, I'd say if you're a person that ate meat 4 times a week, you start to cut it down to 3 to 2 to 1, you know, and the body will adjust. It will adjust.
Thank you, sis.
Yeah, but there's so many. I did the keto and I did well on it, and then I was just like, I fell off. And that's just being honest.
Yeah.
You know, just being honest. It's not easy.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, keto is no joke. Keto is strict. The minute you start doing keto and then you start introducing carbs, you're gonna blow up like a Christmas turkey. You'll be like a house. So you can't mix the two. You have to be super strict. Yeah. So yeah, and it can be very acidic, like I said. Unless you're sticking more to plant-based keto, because there's a lot of cheese involved. There's a lot of meat, but there's also a lot of greens. That's the thing. People make the mistake. They think that keto is just eating bacon and cheese and whatnot all day long. It's not that. Your water is important. Your electrolytes, like your bone broth and stuff like that, is really important because that's medicine. And your greens are really important to balance out what it is that you're eating in terms of, you know, the meats and the dairies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. So, Sarjo, let's get into the first question. What actually is a yoni egg? What's a yoni egg? Break it down for us.
Okay, so before we even talk about what a yoni egg is, we should define what yoni means, because we can't take it for granted that everybody knows what yoni means. Yeah. Yoni is the Sanskrit term for the vagina, the vaginal opening, the vaginal canal, the womb, and all that it encompasses. It's just a more beautiful way to express what your vagina is.
Okay.
Yeah. A yoni egg is a metaphysical tool that is used to help women to firstly strengthen their pelvic floor muscles, but it does so many other things beyond that. The reason being is that we're introducing crystal healing. And if you know anything about crystal healing, crystals work on a sentient level. They are from the earth, they are 100% natural, and they are sentient beings. So just like we feel, they feel too, you know? And also when you think of crystals, crystals are like our elders, they're like ancients, because they've been on this earth much longer than we have. So they're very wise, and they can help us to learn a lot of things about ourselves, you know. So I say, you know, with your crystals, you treat them with a certain level of respect because they're elders, you know. They have been on this earth much longer than we are, and they will continue to grow on this earth way when we're gone. Yeah. So as I said, a yoni egg, this is a yoni egg, yeah. A yoni egg is a metaphysical tool that is used to help you on your journey, on your spiritual journey, or just connecting with yourself as a divine, as a divine feminine woman. It helps you to connect with your divine feminine essence. Yeah. Because you're using crystals, crystals have different vibrations and different energies and different frequencies. So depending on what crystal it is that you choose, it's going to align with you spiritually in that way. Yeah. In terms of choices, well, a little history about yoni eggs. They originated in China over 5,000 years ago, right? And they were only revered for the emperor's concubines. Yeah. And they helped, again, like I said, strengthen the pelvic floor muscle, but they also helped with spiritual alignment as well, and attunement. And they help with things like, stimulating lubrication in the vagina, helping women to achieve orgasms much easier, also assisting with, recovery after you've had children. Women who suffer with incontinence as well, because look at it like any other weights that you would use on your body. It's your yoni is a muscle, and it needs to be used and engaged, because if not that you will lose it, but obviously with any other muscle it becomes weaker. Yeah. And just like how we're told as women that we must use our pelvic floor muscles to kind of, to lift our pelvic floor, to be honest with you, is something that is very difficult to remember to do. And also you get more result when you have something that you're resisting against. It's just like if you go to the gym. If you're using a weight and you're resisting against, you're going to get a better result. Yeah. So when you pick up a yoni egg is quite weighted. There's a weight to it. And different types of crystal weigh, they can be heavier or they can be lighter depending on the mineral properties, But popular choices for yoni eggs for people are rose quartz. Yeah, it's a very popular choice. Reason being is that, rose quartz is seen as your universal love stone. And who doesn't want a little bit of extra love in their life? Whether it's self-love, giving or receiving all different types of love, and self-care. Rose quartz is also about self-care, about loving on yourself, so that tends to be a very popular choice, and also because it's connected to your heart chakra, where your emotions come from, your feelings. However, even though rose quartz is a popular choice for beginners, traditionally you're taught that when you start using yoni eggs, you are supposed to start from your root chakra and you work all the way up to your crown. Because the reason for this is that there's always systems and there's ways to do things. Your root chakra is about you being grounded and connected with yourself, and knowing and understanding yourself, and being rooted in who you are. Now, yoni work can be very deep. It's not just some airy fairy thing, as much as people may clown it, it's not an airy fairy thing. Again, as I said, crystals are sentient, they feel, you can charge them, you can energize them, they contain a lot of power. So, it's about understanding, and being grounded before you start working with yoni eggs, right? So normally they would advise you, traditionally you're taught to start from your root chakra and you work yourself up, yeah? So when you're speaking about root chakra crystals, you're looking at your black crystals, like your black obsidian, for example, and you're looking at your red crystals, for example, like this carnelian. There's also red jasper. I just didn't grab it, but there's also red jasper. The black stones and the red stones, they deal with your root chakra. Yeah. Again, like I said, your root chakra is your connection to the divine energies, to Mother Earth. You're being rooted in knowing who you are and being grounded. Yeah. But a lot of crystals, they can kind of cross over into different chakras, right? So for example, when you have this carnelian will cross over from being a root chakra stone to a sacral chakra, and sacral chakra is very important. That's your second chakra. That is very, very important to us as women, because that is where our creation comes from. That is your reproductive organs, that is your sexual organs, that is where your sensuality comes from, that is where your sexuality comes from, that's where your creativity comes from, that's where you give birth to life, you give birth to ideas. That is your center. For us women, is so important. You know, when we talk about that gut feeling, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, so that is vitally important. There's a lot of energy that comes from that point, and if we're not right within that, a lot of things can go awry from that moment outwards. Yeah, so your carnelian will start. It can be seen as and this is the reason why I like it, because it covers your root chakra, it covers your sacral chakra, and it even moves up to your solar plexus. So it deals with your first three lower chakras. And the reason why carnelian is so powerful and useful for us as women is because it helps to detox the uterus. So if you have any reproductive ailments, for example, those of us who suffer with polycystic ovary syndrome, this is a really good one for us to use, because it helps to detox and get the blood flowing in that area. Yeah. Carnelian, if you look at the color of it, it's full of vitality, it's full of fire, it's full of color, and that's exactly what it does. You know, carnelian's about courage, carnelian's about confidence, carnelian's about vitality, carnelian's about creativity, and it's also your major manifestation stone. So if you're trying to manifest anything, in your life, carnelian is a good one to do. And it helps you to tap into your sensuality and your sexuality, and it's a very energetic stone. So when you start working with it, you'll find that you've got energy to get a lot of things done. It's a very powerful stone. Yeah. So moving on, I haven't. I'm trying to think if I've got anything for your solar plexus. We don't have any solar plexus crystals at the moment. I'm just thinking the only one that I can think of that would cover your solar plexus. Well, carnelian can too, but there's also rhyolite, and you're looking at like your yellow colored stones. So things like citrine. Now, citrine is a wonderful stone, very full of vital energy. It's like the sun, but it's not an easy stone to get hold of. Extremely difficult and very expensive to try and get it in a yoni egg. It's not impossible, but very difficult. Yeah. So this is a piece of raw citrine. This citrine hasn't been fired. This is it in its raw form. Some people would say that citrine, amethyst, and smoky quartz all come from the same family. So if you look at this, you would think that that is a piece of smoky quartz, but it's not. This is citrine in its raw form. Yeah. And then after moving from your solar plexus, you're going to move then up to your heart chakra. Yeah. And as I mentioned before, you've got your rose quartz, which is very common for people to start with their yoni egg practice, because it's a very gentle stone. It's very loving, and it also helps you to release any trauma if you've experienced sexual trauma or any other trauma. Otherwise, it helps you to get in touch with your emotions, and it helps you to release. So I've known many women who start working with rose quartz, and they find that they're very emotional and they're very tearful, which is great, because it means it's releasing anything that you've got stored up and what you're holding on to, and it teaches you about loving yourself and being patient and being kind and being soft with yourself, and to move from a very loving space. It's one thing that we always say that we want to attract love, but then are we giving that love out as well? And then after that, you move on to, let me just reach over and grab. I should have been a bit more prepared. Hold on. Let's grab a few more yoni eggs. Right, so these, I'm just going through ones that are kind of common, some not so common. So then after you move from your heart chakra, you go to your throat chakra, and that's your blue stones. The blue stones are about communication. Yeah. There's ones like lapis lazuli, but I'm a bit skeptical about lapis lazuli because it contains pyrite. and it can be seen as toxic. However, then you've got your blue quartz. Now, blue quartz is not one that I work with. I work with often, so I'm not so 100% familiar with the properties as others. It's not one that I sell loads of, but it is available. Yeah. Again, when you're talking about your throat chakra, people who have difficulty expressing themselves, people who get lumps in their throats, people who have recurring coughs, is because they're not speaking their truth. That's blocked. Your communication channel is blocked. So if you have issues in that throat chakra, coughing, clearing your throat, that kind of thing, not being able to speak up, that shows that your throat chakra is blocked. So then it's good to kind of use a blue crystal to kind of open up your throat chakra to support you in that. Yeah. And then when you move from your throat chakra, you go into your third eye, in between your eyes. That's your intuition. That's the inner voice that you just know without anybody telling you, you just know. And that's one thing that I want to stress, that us as women, we second guess our intuition so much. When you know it, you know it, you feel it, you know it. And another reason why we do that is that because we're not connected to the womb, we're not connected to our sacral chakra. A lot comes from that point. Never, never, ever, ever second guess your intuition. It's always right. Yeah.
Yes.
So your third eye, you're looking at your amethyst stones, for example. Your amethyst, the amethyst also covers into your crown chakra as well. You know, it can be interchangeable. But your amethyst is the great thing about amethyst. It helps to dispel negativity, and it's a very spiritual stone. It helps to call on your archangels and your spirit guides to protect you, and it's also a very good stone for children as well. Yeah. Amethyst helps to dispel a lot of negativity. It's a good stone to have in any space in your home where everybody, like this living room, where everybody communes, because again, like I said, it helps to transmute negative energy. So amethyst is always a good one to have. Yeah. Then after that, you've got your clear quartz. That's your crown chakra. Now your clear quartz is very powerful because clear quartz is a master healer, and it amplifies the energy of all other crystals around it. So when in doubt and you're not sure, clear quartz covers all the chakras from the base all the way to the crown. And it amplifies the energy of any other crystal that's around. And it also is very good for clearing, hence the name clear quartz. You can use it to clear your other crystals and amplify your other crystals. There's so many other variations in between. So like when you're dealing with the heart chakra, your heart chakra is pink, but then it's also green. Yeah. And when you're looking at your green stones are about your well-being, your health, but it's also about your abundance, your money, and your prosperity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, the last one that I wanted to mention is your original Yoni egg, which is your nephrite food. It's a very, very dark green. This is your original Yoni egg. The first ever Yoni egg. It's known as the queen of all Yoni eggs. Hence the reason why it's a lot more expensive than the standard Yoni egg.
With the Yoni eggs, how do you insert them? Do you is it upside down or?
Yes, you see how I'm holding them? This is how you insert your Yoni egg. The fattest side goes up in first. If you look at the anatomy of the vaginal canal, if you look at it how it's formed, this is how the egg will fit very neatly in the vaginal canal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah. Not only that, the with the crystals, the energies that is most powerful and most prolific at the biggest point. So that is where most of the energy is. So if you insert this into your vaginal canal, the energy from the crystal is going to be magnified from the biggest pop point first. And then what it's doing, it's funneling out anything that is not meant to be there. So this is your point where it funnels out.
Okay.
Different energy.
Okay.
Yeah. So bearing in mind, even though you insert your yoni egg this way, your yoni egg is going to move, it's going to flip. You can flip your yoni egg because this is how it massages the reflexology points in your vagina. This is how it stimulates the juices in your vagina.
Okay.
And you know, with me, I'm a bit of a rebel. I like to break the rules, right? So I think to somebody, you know, if you look at your yoni egg and your low yoni, because most women, they look at the yoni egg and think, oh my God, that's so big. I can't put that in my vagina. But you have sex.
Well then.
And the tissues of your vagina are made to stretch.
That's right.
So this is not going to hurt you at all. When you put this in your yoni, you will not feel it. Trust me. The only time you're going to remember it is when it decides to make its descent. Then you're like, oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, that's my yoni. Because they will, you know, crystals are cold, but once they come in contact with the you know, warmth, they adapt. So you will forget that you've got a yoni egg, and I've done it many times.
So just a quick question, Sarjo. How do you, if a woman comes to you, how do you best advise on what's the best yoni egg for them to maybe try out? Do you have like a conversation in regards to what it is
I always
looking
have a conversation, and I always let my intuition speak, because I can speak to somebody within a couple of minutes. I can kind of tell what you need. I always let my intuition guide me. You know, I'll ask questions, and depending on what it is that you tell me, that will be able to determine and say, okay, this is what you need. But sometimes I like women to trust themselves. You know, I can give you all the advice in the world, but you know you better than I do. You know, so I say trust yourself. And to be ideally, I prefer women to come and pick their eggs themselves. Well, really, you don't pick your eggs actually choose you. And how that works is I always say to people, whatever it is that you're drawn to, whatever it is that you're attracted to, that's exactly what it is that you need. So I may not necessarily tell you what all the properties are of the crystal bar, but I just want you to feel what feels good and what resonates with you. And whatever that is, afterwards, when I tell you what the meaning are, 9 times out of 10, it's exactly what you need. So you don't choose your crystals choose you.
And I guess
remember
that comes
what I said,
intuition.
Yeah, they're elders. They connect with vibes. You know, and you can tune your crystals. You know, you can program your crystals to work with you.
Yeah. So another question. Go on, sorry, Latoya.
No. Go ahead, please.
Sorry, say that again.
How often would you advise that you change the yoni egg, or if you're using like one type of egg, so the rose quarter, for example, you want something different now, you want a different type of energy, is it just simple as you use another egg, or is there anything that you need to do in between those times of using the egg in terms of being able to ignite that energy?
Okay, so normally they traditionally, like I say, I always say they, because I know I'm a little bit of a rule breaker. Traditionally, they say when you're working through the chakras, you need like 2 years. So 1 egg, 2 years, that's a long time.
It is.
So like I said, go with your feeling. I like to tell you both sides. I like to tell you the traditional way, but I also like to really encourage you to go with what you feel. You know, there's hard and steady fast rules when it comes to your work, but then there isn't, because I always want people to go with what feels right for them. I could tell you every single woman needs a yoni egg, but then some women will be like, nah, that's not for me. And I have to respect that.
Yep.
You know, so trust yourself, trust what you feel that you need. I go through phases where I use particular eggs and I combine eggs because that's what I feel I want to do. My collection of Yoni eggs is insane. You know? So go with what you feel.
Okay.
What is the best way to cleanse your eggs? I guess before using them and after use.
There's several ways that you can cleanse your egg. One of the simplest ways is running water.
Okay.
You wash away the vibes. That's the simplest way to cleanse any crystal. Just run it under water. Now, normally people will say do it with salt water, but I don't advise it with Yoni eggs because salt can erode. Salt can, and when you get your beautiful, pretty Yoni egg, you want it to look pretty and shiny. If you leave your crystal in salt for long enough, it will erode it. If you're just washing it with salt really quickly, then fine, you can do it. But I wouldn't leave it in extended periods of salt. And if you are going to use salt, then I say Himalayan salt is a brilliant one because Himalayan salt contains a lot of minerals.
Okay.
But running water, I use several methods to cleanse eggs when I receive them before I, sell them on. I go through many cleansing stages, It might seem a little bit excessive to people, but I understand my process, running water. And then I bathe the Yoni eggs in, I may use some of the herbs that I put together for Yoni steams, and I may use essential oils. I bathe them. I treat them like how I want to be treated, with a lot of love. Yeah, and I put them out in the garden, and I earth them. That's really important for you to earth your crystals, for them to connect them back to the source from where they came from. That's really important. Ground your crystal. So I'll probably, if I wash them up with water, then I'll put, I'll create some kind of, water base with essential oils and herbs. Or what I might do is just boil some Yoni steam herbs and then use that as a basis to put my eggs to sit in, and then I'll put them out in the garden for about 24 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
But you also you can smudge your eggs, using incense or sage or Palo Santo, or some people, they attack people like me, for using sage because it's not indigenous to where I come from, but there's frankincense. There's Palo Santo. Just go with whatever you feel. If you haven't got any of those things, good old incense is fine. Yeah, but when you're cleansing, you have to think, you speak, you talk about, you set your intentions, what you want your crystals to do. You're energetically clearing them. This is really important. You send them with a lot of love. You program your crystals because, again, as I said, and I'll keep saying it, they are sentient. Hence the reason why after you've used them, if you're somebody who's carrying a lot of heavy energy, you must cleanse your crystals off first because they pick up on that.
Right.
Cleanse your crystals regularly.
Yeah.
Another way you can cleanse your crystals is by sound frequency. That's one of the most powerful ways. Crystal singing bowls.
Oh, I really
That's
want
a perfect way by sound therapy to cleanse your crystals. If you have a crystal singing bowl, or you have a singing bowl in general.
Sisters, I do apologize. I do have to. Oh, sorry.
Put them in the moonlight. In the moon. The moon is the divine feminine. The moon is what controls your moon cycle. It's very powerful.
Okay.
You can cleanse your crystals that way by putting them, if you've got a garden, or if you've got a flower pot, if you haven't got a garden, in a flower pot on the windowsill, facing the moon, charged. Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice to earth every now and then, just to earth your crystals, let them connect with the earth. But then once you finish earthing them, just make sure you wash them off. And oil, just like how you would love on your body, love on your crystals the same way, because then you'll get what you need from them. Treat them with the same amount of respect that you want to be treated with.
Okay. Sisters, I do apologize. I do have to leave, but I thank you so much for all the information. And Sister Sarjo, I would love to connect with you after this live.
Yeah, just connect with me via the group.
Yes.
If any of you need any information, I can post that all in the group after we come off this call.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Blessings to my sisters.
Blessings.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
You too.
So how often, Sarjo, would you recommend that you use the Yoni egg on a weekly basis? How long do you keep it in?
You determine how long, how often you want to use your eggs for. It's really on you. It's what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I'll say to you is that if you get a Yoni egg, don't chuck it in a drawer somewhere where you can't see it.
Yeah.
Because you won't remember.
Okay.
Put it somewhere where you know you can see it, and it's going to be a reminder that you must use it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're not using your Yoni egg in your Yoni, you can still get the benefits of using your egg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Carry it in your bra, somewhere that it's not. I always say to the bra, on the left-hand side, closest to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you make that heart connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long? Traditionally, they will tell you when you first start using Yoni eggs, use it for about 10 minutes, take it out, and then come back. Again, I go against all of that because, again, as I said, crystals are sentient. They know what you need. So if your Yoni egg, if you put your Yoni egg in your Yoni for 10 minutes, you haven't even had the chance for it to make a connection with yourself, and then you're going to take it out. To me, that's not trusting the process. That's controlling the process and stopping and starting it as and when it's suitable to you. That to me makes no sense. That means that you don't actually believe in the crystal and trust them to do their own magic.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my personal opinion. Somebody might shoot me down for it. You know, from my understanding of crystals, they don't just work on off. It's a process. The transformation is not a light switch. It's a process. You start to see there's a transition. So in order for you to be able to see that, you've got to give it time. So however long you put your Yoni egg in your Yoni, if you know you're somebody that is really sensitive and you know that your Yoni can't take it too much, then do the little you have to see it, you have to work with yourself.
Yeah.
But if you're going to trust the process completely, put your Yoni egg, leave it, let it do its work. When it's ready to come out, it will come out.
Okay. We did have a question from one of the sisters in the comments. She has said, what do you mean by earthing them? So just
earthing, grounding them, connecting them to because the air crystals come from the earth. You have to dig and you have to mine to find them. They're from the earth. So when you say earthing, that means that you're connecting them back to the source, to the ground. So a garden is perfect. A plant pot is perfect because that's earth.
Yeah.
Just like how you would ground yourself. Same thing.
No problem. Thank you for that. And she also had another question. How is it best to store them? How do you store them?
Like I said, on a stand somewhere where you can see them, on a cute little stand that reminds you that you must use your Yoni egg. By your bed, wherever it is that you know is a representation that you like. And the thing is, Yoni eggs are like pieces of art. They're like pieces of art. So you put them somewhere that you know that you're going to see it and it's going to be a reminder for you to use it. If you have an altar, that is absolutely the best place to put it.
Yeah.
Pray over it. Energize it in that way. But put it somewhere where it can be seen, it can be enjoyed. It, you know, it's a reminder for you to use it.
We've got a question in the comments. It says, where can you purchase them from? So I can see now that Sarjo's website is up. So
yeah,
you can.
So if you scroll all the way down to the bottom and you go, sorry.
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, there's different categories, and one of them is Crystal Magic. If you go under Crystal Magic, click on that category, you will then find the Yoni eggs there.
Perfect. Thank you. So I know that you did mention earlier as well, we were talking about Yoni steaming. So how do you marry that up with the Yoni steaming along with the Yoni eggs as well? So what's that process?
Yes. Okay. So Yoni steaming is an ancient practice tradition where, you know, there's okay. So with Yoni steaming, it's an ancient practice, an ancient traditional practice that some people, you know, the Mayans, different cultures have different names for it, and have different ways in which they administer it. I know in Africa, when women have children after they've had given birth, they make them sit on hot water, you know, with herbs. You know, that's a version of a Yoni steam to kind of put everything back into place. You know, Yoni steaming works by, you know, delivering, you know, plant medicine to the yoni by the way of steam and heat. Yeah. So how it works is that you would brew your herbs like you would brew any other loose leaf tea. So basically you would just pour hot water on it and you let them steep for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then you would, let me grab my Yoni stew. Let me grab my soup. Just give me a second.
No problem.
Give me 1 second, I want to show you.
It's grabbing that. It's in the comments, the website where you can have a look.
This is my pot that I use for Yoni steaming, yeah? This is my pot that's dedicated to Yoni steaming. It's an insulated pot, right? So this keeps in the heat, yeah? Now, I can't tip it completely down, but let me try and see if I can show you. As you can see, this pot sitting in here, this is one I prepared earlier. So my Yoni steam herbs have been sitting in there. This is all my herbs. I wouldn't use all of these at one go, but I was just I was charging my herbs. So they've been sitting in this bowl, marinated with different crystals, yeah? And the crystals are actually energizing, my Yoni eggs are actually energizing the herbs before I use it.
Right.
Yeah, this is how you get powerful medicine from your herbs because they're being charged by crystals. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what I would, you know, you only need a handful of herbs. They're very potent. Plant medicine is very potent. What I would then do is that you want to use good quality water, purified water. I use alkaline water. I have a water filter. I purchased my water filter from my mum. She's a naturopath. And I have a unit called Zero Water. And what that does, it enables you to test the total dissolved solids in the water. And it gives you a probe that you can read your water to test to make sure that it's on zero. Yeah, so you don't have any crap. It's filtering all the crap out of your water. If you're going to do something like a Yoni steam, you have to use good quality water because you're trying to detox. You don't want to detox to retox.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would fill this up quite high with water, as high as it could possibly go. The reason why is because I want the steam to be able to hit the yoni at a point where there's a continuous rolling heat. Yeah. Then I have my Yoni steam throne, which I've purchased from a young lady named Emma Akko, and she has a company called Mama Luna. Yoni Steam. You can find her on social media. Now I've actually kind of taken my steam apart, but normally when you buy it, it comes with like a cover, a white cover which has her logo on there. But I took mine off because I just didn't want it to get dirty. The material is white. And then on top of that, I've had my seat since 2006. I've had my seat for a long time. I was probably one of the first people who bought a seat from Emma. And so she's made this Yoni Steam seat, which is very portable. You can see it's not big. It's like the size of a little drawer. so it can be put away quite easily. And now she's actually started to make ones that are higher for people who are taller and who have back problems or have issues with stiff hips. Yeah. And so yeah, this just goes on top of it, and my pot goes underneath it, and I place it on the floor, and I sit down in a lotus position, and I'm wearing something that is long, that touches the floor with no underwear on, and I'm sitting on that seat, and I'm just enjoying the process. It's extremely relaxing. It's very comforting. It allows you to connect with yourself as a woman. It helps you to release a lot of emotions and tensions that you have stored up. It helps if you are like me and are a raging insomniac and you don't really sleep. It helps you to relax in that way. But also in addition to that is that you're giving your womb, your uterus, a very deep, relaxing detox. Every single woman should be yoni steaming. Everyone. I don't know one woman who does not benefit from yoni steaming. It's amazing. And you literally feel like a goddess afterwards.
What would you say are the main benefits of yoni steaming?
Okay, so women who suffer with things like infertility, if you have reproductive ailments, if you have, painful periods, after you've given birth to children, if you are menopausal, because your yoni can become, because you're not producing any more estrogen, your yoni can be very dry. If you have, if you experience pain during sex, what else can I think of? It just really helps to relax the womb, detox the womb, cleanse the womb, the hardened, any tissues that have become hardened in the womb, it helps to soften them and break them down. So women who have things like endometriosis is amazing for. People who have polycystic ovary, if you have really heavy periods, it helps to regulate your period. If you have absence of period, you don't have a period, it can stimulate because of the blood flow and because of the herbs that you choose. It can bring on your period.
Okay. We did have
medicine. It's medicine for the womb.
We had a couple of questions in the comments. We've got, can you speak of the importance of using the variation of the Diva cup?
Okay, so that's a moon cup. Okay, so I started using a moon cup in 2009 when I went on my whole, raw vegan journey. It's less toxic to the body, it's less toxic to the environment, it's economical because your moon cup can last you for like 5 years. Yeah, it can last you a very long time. It's made from medical grade silicone. The good thing about having a moon cup is it enables you to check your blood to see the consistency, the color, if there's any clots in it, so you can see what's actually happening with yourself. And also you get to see how much you actually bleed a day. It's a very good way to kind of check your blood and see what's actually going on.
Okay. And there was
I'm currently on my cycle, and I've been using a moon cup since 2009. I'm a big fan. But there's so many different types of cups out there, and every woman is different. So you have to kind of find the one that suits you. Some people have a deep vaginal canal. Some people have a short. We're all different, and that's what makes us beautiful. So you have to. I used to sell them, but I stopped selling them. You have to just find the one that feels comfortable with you. And the thing is, with this, you kind of have to get used to the fact that you're going to be inserting and taking a cup out of your vagina. Get used to your own blood.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. We had another question. What can you do for blocked fallopian tubes?
Well, I'm not a doctor, so any information that I give you is not based from a doctor's standpoint. With blocked fallopian tubes, I'd say you need to see your doctor. Some women have experienced relief from doing yoni steaming, but I can't advise anybody to do that. I'd say go back to your doctor and get a second opinion.
Mm.
Thank you for that. And I can see that on your website there are a few other things that you offer in terms of um, elixirs. You've got what else is it that you offer in terms of your services? So
Okay, so in terms of yoni care, I have a whole range of yoni care, and I'm always looking to expand and grow depending on what the needs are. So it ranges from your plant-based yoni washes. I'm currently out of stock at the moment because I'm waiting for bottles to arrive with this whole COVID business, and the Royal Mail being delayed. I'm just waiting for my bits to arrive. But I do plant-based washes that come in sensitive and they come in normal. I also do a goddess aromatic yoni spritz. It's like a yoni refreshener. It's a yoni water. Helps to deodorize, helps with hormone balancing. It's great to use an all over body spray because it smells really nice. For those who just want to refresh their yoni throughout the day. If you're somebody who sweats like myself, I sweat a lot and I sweat from my yoni. It's just a nice way to keep yourself fresh, and it's also nice around your moon time as well when you go, to change your pad or to change your moon cup. Is a good way to kind of just freshen yourself up. Yeah. I also have what I call goddess elixir. It's a luxurious medicinal plant-based yoni oil. This helps with women who suffer with things like BV, thrush, mouth odor, irritation. It's just a oil that helps to care for the yoni in a holistic way. It just keeps you juicy, keeps you smelling nice, and it just keeps your yoni healthy. It's got a proprietary blend of essential oils that are renowned for helping to support the health of the yoni. And it also contains things like evening primrose, which is very good for hormone balancing, and also CBD oil, which helps with pain, that's associated with, cramps.
okay.
Yeah.
We did. Sorry. You continue. I'll ask you after when you're finished.
Yeah, it also contains things like frankincense, sandalwood, golden seal. These are all very antibacterial, antiviral. They just help to keep the yoni and the vaginal canal healthy.
Okay. Did have a question. I think it was in the earlier. Do you recommend wild yam to help with hormones?
There's been so many mixed reviews with wild yam. I've heard that wild yam can help with hormones and so on and so, and it can be used as birth control and different things. I haven't personally used it, but there's been a lot of reports that it's been very beneficial.
Okay, thank you for that. So thank you for going through everything on the website with us. I'm just trying to see if there's any more questions.
There's more. There's a couple things more.
Okay.
So we've spoken about the steam, we've spoken about the watches, we've spoken about the spray, we've spoken about the goddess elixir. There's also a woman breast elixir as well, which is fantastic for us as women because, how often is it, honestly speaking, that you massage your womb and you massage your breasts? They're neglected areas of the body, and they are so vital to who we are and tapping into our divine feminine essence. Yeah, massaging your womb creates such a bond and connection with yourself as a woman. And not only that, how often do we get to move or engage that part of our bodies? It's neglected. So it's not surprising that a lot of us have issues in that area. The women breast elixir helps, with people who have, pain or bloating or discomfort that's associated with your moon time. This helps you to feel a lot more calm, less bloating, less tenderness in the breast, less bloating in the breast, because it's used for the womb, and it's also used for the breast as well. And it allows you, by massaging your breast, you're connecting with your heart chakra in a loving way. And that's not something that we do often as women when we should. Massaging your breasts will help to prevent them from being fibrous, which can happen with age.
Yeah.
So it's all the products that I create don't just have a practical or functional purpose. It's also to remind yourself to love on yourself and look after yourself in a luxurious and sensual way.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then 2 more things that I wanted to mention that I've got on there as well is the Yoni suppositories. 1 second. Is the Yoni suppositories. These are plant-based suppositories that you insert into your yoni that help people who suffer with things like BV, malodor, thrush, you know, that kind of thing. They really help to clear out the vaginal cavity. Yeah, and they are basically like they're yoni melts. So they are, you know, encased in cocoa butter, extra virgin coconut oil, and a bit of neem oil, and also some black seed oil. These are all very antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial oils. And they just help to cleanse the yoni and care for the yoni in a holistic way. And they help to, you know, heal the tissues of the yoni so your yoni feels really smooth.
Yeah.
And then finally, the first ever product that I ever came up with from Sarjo's Holistic was the Detox and Fat Blaster. That was the very first product, and this is sourced from Gambia, from home. Yeah. This is for anybody who's concerned about weight management, or they just want to detox in general and cleanse out the entire digestive system, as well as, you know, cleanse the liver as a secondary organ. This detox will do that. It's very potent, it's very powerful, and it's very effective.
I like the sound of that.
So yeah, that's, you know, there's other things. There's, you know, I've got, you know, metaphysical perfumes. So like you've got your good, if you go onto that area, like what I put under as spiritual protection, there's your, I've got 2, did I take the other one off? Yeah, I've got 2 metaphysical perfumes that serve a purpose to protect you. So I have the good juju, which is based off the principle of Florida water. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Florida water, but, you know, back in the Caribbean, you know, back in Africa, it was used to just run where grass is, you know, to protect you. But I actually make my Florida water myself with, you know, plant essences and essential oils and crystals.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like your spiritual protection. That helps to protect you from negativity. It just helps to manifest a lot of things that you desire. It's very potent and very powerful. And then you also have the It's So Ra, which is the acronym for in spirit of my righteous ancestors. So is to kind of call on your ancestors and your archangels, or people who've moved on, to protect you. So it's about spiritual protection.
Love that.
Yeah.
We had another question from the comments. Greetings all, I've just joined, not sure if you've spoken about it, but do you recommend moon cups for young girls around the age of about 12?
If you're not sexually active, no.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Thank you for that. So can you tell us, Sarjo, then where we can find all your information? I know we've had the website up, and where we can find you, where we can get more information from yourself.
Okay, so I'm quite active on social media, especially on Instagram. So you can actually follow me on Instagram, and I'm at Sarjo's Wholistics online. So it's the name of the business with no spaces, Sarjo's Wholistics online.
No.
I'm also active on Facebook, but Facebook, I get more interaction from Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also I have put the website in there as well for anyone who's interested and want to have a look at the website. You can also go
But
there.
just remember, ladies, at the moment the watches are all sold out. I'm just awaiting bottles, so they will be back soon. It's just the delay with all this kind of COVID business has just kind of slowed a lot of things down.
Do you have any beautiful queens who want to come on and ask Sarjo any questions, anything that you want to know more about in regards to what she's spoken of today? Just let us know. We can get you on here as well. Gems or Kima, do you have any questions for Sarjo?
I have a question. I want to thank you first of all for what you've been saying, what you've been teaching us. It's absolutely brilliant.
Okay, you're welcome.
I've got myself a Yoni Steam seat and the bowl, and Emma sent me some herbs as well. So I'm going to check you out for your herbs, definitely,
Yeah.
and the Yoni egg. I wanted to ask you about clear topaz. I don't know if you know that. It's different to a quartz, isn't it? I don't know if
Say
you
that
know about
again.
it. I don't know if you've heard of clear topaz.
I've heard of topaz, but not clear topaz.
Oh, okay. I'll just quickly get mine real quick. I definitely want to get a. That's what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see.
Just about. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that now. Beautiful.
See that? Yeah. It is very pretty. But yeah, if you don't know about that, that's absolutely fine. I believe topaz obviously is different to quartz. I wanted to ask as well about how often would you suggest people to Yoni steam? Each month.
Okay, so
I believe
I'd say
obviously we're not meant to steam when we're
bleeding.
yeah.
At least once a month, 3 days before your cycle, or before your cycle commences, and then 3 days after your cycle. Anytime in between that, then you can Yoni steam. So provided you're not bleeding,
Nice.
there's a couple of contraindications as well to steaming. If you have an IUD in, Yoni steaming is not recommended because it can dislodge it, it can move it. If you're bleeding, and if you're pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah. Outside of that, and also some people will say if you've got any STDs. Yeah, but that is a little bit of the reason why I say that is because it really depends on the type of STD that you have. Or, for example, if you're somebody who has something like genital herpes, because the steam is actually, it helps with the cell turnover and it helps with healing. You see, so if you was to steam, it could possibly help that condition. But again, I always implore you to use your intuition. Some people would say absolutely not, but I say use your intuition.
Okay.
Some women I've known some women to steam whilst they were bleeding because they felt that's what their spirit told them, and it's helped them throughout their period. So I mean, the heat can exacerbate the blood, and because obviously it's stimulating blood flow, but it's not for me to tell you what you can and can't do. Outside of contraindications, it really is down to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
We did have another question. Can Yoni help with miscarriages? Or Yoni eggs, sorry.
Well, put it this way. Steaming can help to tone your uterus. Yoni eggs can also help to tone your uterus as well. But I make waist beads as well. So, I've had a client in the past who, was miscarrying, got pregnant and miscarried. And I've made a set of waist beads for her that allowed her to go full term till she's had a child. Because I use crystals when I'm making. I only custom make, and I use crystals with my waist beads. So there's many ways that you can kind of address that. Not saying that it's 100% foolproof, but from my experience, I've had women who have had success.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do the waist beads help with?
Waist beads help with different things. different things. It just depends. It's just like how you pick your yoni egg for whatever it is that you want to align with. It's the same thing with your waist beads. And because I'm using crystal magic with them, this amplified, it's not just your standard glass waist bead. This is, you know, using crystals. So the energy is amplified, and, you know, it can, you know, help to support you on your spiritual path.
Thank you. James, did you have any questions? No? Okay. No problem. I can't see if there's any more questions in the chat. So do you have any last words for us, Sarjo, in regards to our journey in Yoni Steam and Yoni Eggs and starting that?
Get on with it.
And
get on with it, and always trust your spirit. Trust your intuition. It doesn't matter what I've told you today, whether you felt that it's resonated or not. Go with what feels right for you, always.
Yeah.
And get on with it and enjoy.
Wow. Thank you for coming on and speaking with us today and imparting knowledge in regards to steaming and yoni eggs. It's definitely helped myself. Someone does have, you know, a problem with PCOS, so that knowledge is something that I could take away now, and I'm most likely going to get on with it and my journey, and I'll be able to see, you know, some change in my overall cycle. So thank you definitely for coming on with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Again, guys, check out Sarjo on her Instagram. I've pinned it in the comments. Check out her website. Thank you again for tuning with us this week. It's been a good conversation as always. Thank you, Kima, for coming on. Thank you, Jem, for coming
for having me.
Don't forget, guys, to check out International Sister Circle. You can check out our website, www.internationalsistercircle.com. Check us out on Instagram, International Sister Circle, and sign up. We're here every Sunday. We've got a new program on just to impart knowledge onto the beautiful community out there. And we thank you again for joining us today. Thank you, Brother Terry and Black Ice TV, for housing us.
Big up, Terry.
Definitely.
Thank you, Jasira. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for being an amazing host.
Yeah. Big up.
Thank you, guys. Terry.
All right. Take it away.